so many workers, yet horrible customer service. How would you fix this?
Well, actually, when Mayor Matranga was the mayor, he had given each of the districts, District 1, 2, 3, and 4, as a department director, meaning I could assist with City Hall, and Randy was over something, Mark was over something, Abdullah, I remember being over the police department, and that kind of worked because it kind of shared the load. So while I was working with him, he allowed me into City Hall, and he allowed me to start working on policies and procedures. I immediately began to tell everyone we needed cross-training, and I was asking for their policies and procedure manual and their employment manual, and they could not produce one. So I've written one in the past, actually one that got my company into, at that time, BP, so I felt like I was qualified to assist them in doing that. And then times changed, we got a different mayor, and I was out. So the first thing I would do is address policies and procedures and see if everyone is working to their capacity in their departments. Maybe there's duplicates, maybe there's not. Customer service has always been exactly what I've said. In fact, I always go 3 C's. When I was with the school district, on the school board, it was like courtesy, common sense, consistency. You don't go wrong with those 3. So the first thing you're going to have to do, if me or whoever gets in there, if we want to improve City Hall, is courtesy, common sense, consistency, and make sure that your guys are being served. If you're being served when you go up and ask a question or have a water bill that's, my in-laws had a water bill that went from $74 to $1,478. They're 88 years old and they're in a wheelchair, so I'm pretty sure they didn't use that amount. Others of you have had water bills like that. So that would be my answer to that. We need to see what resources we have, what education or training they might need, and then move forward.
Next question is, what will you do to get rid of the negativity and bring the city together?
Negativity, well, it's like this. I'm a really positive person, and I think that the positivity comes from being a Christian. I think that if you are following the Lord, you want to be positive. I didn't cause this great divide, and as far as it being negative, I don't want to be negative. I want to be positive. I want everyone to get along. The thing about it is, the divide is there. It's how do we reel it back in and work together. I think all of us want to move in the same direction. I just think that others have to realize that, hey, there's others that are intelligent enough, capable enough, and can move the city forward. It can't be the same old thing or you're going to get the same old thing. So negativity, I'm going to pray it away.
Okay, the next one says, heavy haul trash pickup makes our hood look like third world.
Welcome to my hood. I live on Temple Circle. If you drive around there, you're going to get maybe 3, it's missing us here, maybe 3 or 4 mattresses and a couple of couches, and then you go on down, you get more. You go into Oak Ridge, they have a lot of debris. This is one of my pet peeves. It's a problem I've had since the very first floodwaters hit. My district was the main district, which is 2, which is Woodacres, Greenwood, Temple, and Oak Ridge. That area was heavily hit with floodwaters, and they secretly did a trash haul. Now tell me what you accomplished with a secret trash haul. It's like, put your stuff out in the middle of the night, and we'll sneak out and pick it up. So my solution to that, number 1, we do not have a contract in place that allows for the trash haul that we've had in the past. But the second thing is, a lot of the people that live on my block, I know for sure, are not able to get their sofas and all of their items out and to pay to have it hauled. So I suggested that, and I didn't reinvent this wheel, this is how they do it in Louisiana. They fence off an area with a chain link fence. They put in 3 or 4 of the giant heavy haul dumpsters. They put someone there 4 hours a day, 3 or 4 times a week. You show your license and you bring your sofas, your mattresses, your whatever, cabinets that you've ripped out. Now, they told me that you were, let's see, while we're remodeling, I said, hello, do you think anybody is remodeling? This is called repairing, trying to get back in your home. And it's still occurring. I still do not have my kitchen finished. And I'm looking for my husband because he's going to throw something at me. But I'm going to tell you the truth. He does everything himself. He's an extremely hard worker. He fell through the attic and messed up his shoulder. He fell off the top rung of the ladder, hung himself by his leg, and messed his leg up. So that's his excuse, and he's sticking to it. But really, what I say is, when we start taking out the kitchen and redoing that, we'll have more debris. It's not remodeling. No one wanted this flood so they could remodel. I mean, people that have had to move to higher ground and live outside of their, you know, in motorhomes, but it's primarily District 2, some of District 1, and some around town. But to me, all of us, everybody in here would go help your neighbor get that sofa or whatever it is, home furnishings, to that dumpster. But no, that was Monica's idea, so 2 thumbs down. But if Monica gets mayor, it'll be 2 thumbs up. We'll have that.
So this one has 4 things on it. It's water drainage, water department and billing, roads and repair, and emergency spending during the storms. And the last thing it says is, go Monica!
And it has a cross on it. Okay, water and drainage. So I'll just tell you some of the things I know. I don't know if they mean water and drainage, but let's address water. Our water rates just went up, and that was something that we had to pass on to the consumers. And the reason why is because where we receive our water, that cost just increased. I attended a little presentation on this. I think it was last week, maybe Thursday. And it was really interesting because what we don't know collectively is where our water comes from and how it gets to us. We just know it comes out, okay. Well, it actually comes from the Brazos River. It flows, and then it is held in Texas City. Then they somehow pipe it over here. Well, this is something that we really need to talk to our state representatives and our congressmen about, because Lake Wimberley holds like a gigantic amount of water, and 10% of it's being used. So if they would release that water for us to use, it's being held for some kind of an experimental type of energy generation. But if they would release that, we would have lower cost water. And so they asked for the desalination of water and how expensive that is. They say roughly right now, the city pays, let's say $1. Let's say $1 a gallon. It's not that, but if you went to a desalination method, it's 5 times that. So that's not an option, even though we're surrounded by water. Our water comes from the Brazos River, and although we have not had a drought here lately, there has been a drought toward West Texas. So actually, for the first time, I thought, water conservation, turn my water off when I was brushing my teeth, because it's a limited resource. And so drainage is a huge issue in our district. My house flooded. Even before that, my backyard is flooded to the point where my backyard buildings are just rotted out. Drainage, I drive around town when it rains. I take photos, I take videos. I just think to myself, and I get with Chris Armacost and Bruce Keithley, who knows everything about drainage. To me, he does. And then they'll say, well, and my husband, he drives around with me, and he'll say, look at this. It's dug deeper than the culvert. Well, if the culvert's here and the water's draining here, obviously it isn't reaching. So I have really tried to work on this. It concerns everybody in this city. But greater than that, it incorporates our county And they are trying to get programs where we work county-wide together. And that's a good thing. So I'll continue with that because number one, drainage is one of our biggest problems, drainage and infrastructure. Water department and billing, well, I'll tell you the limited amount I know about that is if you go from $70 to $1,500 in one day, it's probably your fault. I don't know what you did, but it's probably your fault. You have a leak. I was told with my in-laws that $1,500 that they would be floating out into the street. But you see, I stepped in, I intervened for them. I've stepped in and I've intervened for others. I have, like the RV parks, theirs has doubled. We can't figure out why. We're researching, not we, but the water department is supposed to be researching that and telling us why. Yes, and this is a point my husband made. He says, okay, I understand if surface water costs more, you have to pay more. But does it cost more to flush it? Well, no. Then why'd you go up on sewer? See, that's the kind of things we need to look at. It doesn't match. The billing department, a few years ago, and I don't see Bruce, but he knows about it, they installed the smart meters. Not everybody has a smart meter. I have one, my in-laws do not. But I've been told, nobody will admit it to me now, but I've been told that the smart meters only work on bright, sunshiny, great days. If they drive by and they try to get your readings, they download it to the computer. When they try to get that, if it's foggy or drizzly or rainy, that you may not get an accurate reading. And so to me, that's a problem. Now, I personally know of several of you that have had water issues. One of them being where I think they were using 100 gallons a minute. Is that what it was? 100 gallons per minute for 2 days. Those 2 days when it was Hurricane Harvey. But yet it took them like 11 times to going to City Hall to try to get that fixed. And I'm not sure that it ever got fixed. The same thing with the school district. So obviously, what's it called? Courtesy, common sense. Common sense tells you that I didn't go from using $74 to $1,074. My sister worked actually in the water billing at one point in her life, and she says, we take a ruler and we go over every one of them, and if Kathy used $82 this month and she used $2,000 next month, something's wrong. So I'm asking you, do you think that they're taking a ruler and going through it? I don't think so. So that's one of the things that we need to look at. We need accountability in that department. Roads and repair, infrastructure is a very high priority. Infrastructure and roads and repairs, very costly. You see little tags around town? Well, they have to repair the infrastructure before they can repair the roads, and that makes sense. You may not see anything going on. I don't know that there's anything in the budget, but like I said, there are alternate forms of revenue that we can bring to this city, and we have done that for the school district. Emergency spending. Oh, emergency spending during storms. Honestly, I can